What is up guys, Andy Forest Team Runner here and welcome back to another video. And today we're talking all about how versatile is Nike's ZoomX VAPORFLY Next Percent. So welcome back to another video. It's a pleasure to be out here on the industrial estate. I just realised my finger might have been over the microphone then. So I'm out here nice and early. It is freezing, the frost is here. As I said in the last video, it is definitely base layer season. And why am I making this video? What is the purpose of this video? Well, over the last few months I've had a few questions just randomly, usually on Instagram or in the YouTube comments, asking about the Next Percent. How versatile are they? Can they use them? And it tends to be runners who are maybe a little bit more recreational, who are just getting into the sport, who like the look of the Next Percent, and they're looking to do some speed work. They might be cross training, they might be footballers or boxers, and they might be doing running to supplement their main sport. And they say to me, in particular, this week I've had 2 messages on Instagram. It's no joke. I know it's not a lot, but it just triggered this whole video idea for me. And they asked me, how versatile is the shoe? I've bought it. How can I use it in my running? And I was upfront and honest with them. I said, this is not an easy run shoe. You can't just go out and plod in it. Well, you can, but that's not its purpose. It is a speed shoe. It's a racing shoe. It is a high-end shoe. And it got me thinking, I've tested this shoe on so many different scenarios, whether it's race, 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathons, marathons even, and I've done a lot of testing in training for speed work. But the one thing I've not tested it on in the whole speed work realm is intervals, fast intervals. Has it got the explosive power that these people might need if they're doing interval training to warrant buying the shoe? Now I know it might seem not as important as the other type of training, because obviously I've done intervals like 2-3 minute intervals, I've done tempo runs, I've done everything in this shoe, but I've not done 100 meters, 200 meters, 400 meter repeats in this shoe. So I thought, well, let's put the final piece of the jigsaw together. Let's do it. Let's make that picture complete. Let's do a workout in the Next Percent that are those fast intervals. So today on the cards I have 600 meters, 400 meters, 200 meters, 100 meters times 3. So we're doing that loop 3 times, always 60 seconds rest in between. I'm going to take in static rest because I want to give my all in this. Now I do have a slight problem. The industrial estate at the moment is being resurfaced. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm at the top end of the industrial estate. I'm going to be starting on that corner there, going down that way towards the industrial estate. There is about a 10 foot to 15 foot drop from there down to the bottom corner of the industrial estate, which means I will get an advantage on reps 1 and 3, and then it curves around onto the main flat where they've started to take up the surface. It's very gravelly, it's very rough, it's not really runnable. So at that point I have to jump onto the pavement when I get down there. But that means on reps, the 400s and the 100s are going to be coming back up, so I have it against me. So it is going to average itself out. So it's not my usual running route, but we'll give it a go. And I'm excited today to see how we go in these Next Percent. Plus we're close to 100 miles, so I thought we can do another workout and then we can do another run in another 2 or 3 weeks and see how they're faring after 100 miles. But to give you a good idea, they really don't feel any different from when I bought them. So let's get this underway. Let's get these shorter, sharper intervals done, and then we'll have a good recap at the end. There we go, first set done. I am taking static walks, but I want to get back up to there where I started. So I think in between each set, after the 100s, I'm going to have to take a little jog, or take a jog as far as I can. Yeah, so far, wow. Set 2 done. This is going better than expected. Last set. Wow, wow, wow. Third set done. That was insane. Fastest I've ever run those intervals. We'll go back and talk about it, but I've got to say, whilst I'm out here, that was possibly one of the hardest workouts I've ever pushed. I was tying up so much in some of those last reps. Really tying up, but that's what I want. That's what the speed block is all about. Pushing myself, getting that top end, and then building on that moving into January. So things are heading in the right direction, and today these shoes in particular really help the cause. Let's go back and talk about it. So there we go, that really was the final piece to the puzzle. So from my perspective, I've got to be honest now and say to you guys that this really is kind of the all-round complete shoe. That workout went really, really well, and we'll dive into that very shortly for those of you who are interested in hearing a little bit more about my training. But from the next percent perspective, I've got to say, right from intervals all the way up to racing, this thing will have your back. Now, as I said earlier in the intro, I do see people using these things for intervals. I've always been hesitant myself, just because I've wondered if the foam and the plate, it's too soft, too squishy. Is it going to sort of like take you a while to get going? Is it going to have that explosive power? But it really does. It really does. These shoes are really a case of what you put in, you get out. A lot of people say back in the beginning, when carbon plate shoes were really coming to the forefront 2 or 3 years ago, they're cheat shoes. You get an unfair advantage. It needs to be a level playing field. I understand all the arguments, don't get me wrong, and I'm not going to sway either way. That's not a video for this. This video is not covering that topic. But what I will say, and I say to everybody, is you can't think of these shoes like that. Whatever the carbon plate shoe is, whether it's the Endorphin Pro, the Metaspeed Sky, the whatever Adidas do that I'm not interested in because they don't do my size, the Next Percent, whatever it is, you really get out what you put in. You can't expect to put these type of shoes on and then they suddenly make you run faster. You really do have to put the effort in. But I've got to say, I was really impressed this morning. My average pace for those reps were 4:40 per mile, and that's taken into consideration the 600s, 400s, 200s and 100s, all those paces combined. The average pace was 4:40. So pace was quick, pace was hot. I've never touched those paces in my life. And I'm really happy that the speed is in my legs. You know, I've got the speed. It's been demoralising over the past few weeks starting this speed block. I'm kind of divulging now, or digressing a little bit off into training, but for those of you who've been watching the Need for Speed series, you'll have known I started with some 400s and 200s, and my 400s and 200s were anywhere from 117 to 121. And the 200s were 36 and 38. So now to get down into the low 70s and early 60s, and then the 200s to be like 33 and 32 seconds or whatever it was. It's just wicked. It's just so cool to feel feel that fit, that I can run those paces and feel good when doing it. Don't get me wrong, those last few reps I did start to tie up, but do you know what? I'm prepared to put myself through that during this next 8 to 10 weeks, because it's all about working on that top end, and then what we'll be doing after that, moving into the new year, when I talk about what I've got coming up, is complementing that with some more all-round work to start to build that endurance and make me able to sustain faster paces for longer. But right now is all about working on that top end. But as I said, going back to the shoe, in terms of this thing, I've got to say, answering those questions on Instagram, and people keep asking me, yeah, if you want a speed shoe, you're not afraid to splash the cash, and you don't mind using this thing, then hell yes, it will have you covered for everything. For me, personal preference, I don't like to train in these things too much. I know a lot of people, like for example Matt, you see Matt on the channel quite a bit. He has multiple pairs of these, he trains in them a lot. I get that, I understand the benefits. Obviously I've come away from this session buzzing, and I can understand week in, week out, hitting those paces. You know, these shoes are gonna help you with that, they really will. But for me, I like to save these for races. So I do tend to just train in the Next Percent, really, not very often, once a month usually maximum. I know we did a video a few weeks ago, but I've got to be honest, it's not usually that regular. So I do try and use my carbon plate shoes just once a week maximum, sometimes none at all. Just like to use that benefit on race day. So in answer to the question, as I said, yeah, this thing is going to cover you in all pace ranges from all types of workouts, intervals, right the way up to races. In terms of my own training, I've got to be honest with you, I'm starting to feel good. The groove is there. We had the 3 weeks, we've had the holiday, and now we've kicked into kind of week 5, but really it's the 4th week of structured training. I think it is the 4th or the 5th. I can't remember now. Either way, time's flying. And we've got another 8 or 9 weeks until January. So I'm going to keep this sort of training up. We're going to be doing our speed work on the Tuesday and our threshold or tempo work, whatever it ends up being, on the Thursday to kind of complement this stuff. And hopefully we're going to find ourselves around Christmas time in some really good fast shape, and then after that we're going to be working on endurance leading into the new year. So yeah, I've worked on the speed endurance and the longer stuff for way too long. I'm really finding my groove now during this speed block. So what can I say? It's done it again. It's another fantastic workout in another fantastic shoe. And these things are nearly at 100 miles now, 94 or 96. So another run and we'll get them there. But I'm not going to rush that just for the sake of a video. I don't need to rush it. I'll use them when I'm ready to use them again. Probably another 2 or 3 or 4 weeks time, whenever it might be. And there'll also be a TT coming up, a time trial, at some point, just to see where fitness is at. Maybe a 5k time trial. Yeah, it will probably be a 5k time trial. Location to be determined, probably back at Lydney Lake or up and down the Lydney Docks Road, somewhere like that. We'll see if we can get Matt involved, or if not, I'll be flying solo. Either way, we'll see where fitness is at. It'll be a good gauge to see how we're feeling now, and then probably do one again towards the end of the year before we go into this new block. Actually, having said that, we've got a 10k straight after Christmas, so maybe we'll use that as a good gauge to see where fitness is at. So there we go. That's it for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you found it useful. Let me know how you use your next percents. Let me know if you reserve them just for racing, if you like to train in them. Do they give you that mental boost, that mental benefit when you do slip them on and train and hit these workouts? I guess like I have this morning, I'm not ashamed to say that I'm over the moon with how it went. I'm really happy to know that I've got that sort of speed in my body. It's just about building on it now. So let me know in the comments below how you like to use them, and obviously how many miles you've got in them. Do you have a training pair? Do you have a racing pair? Let's get that conversation going, and we'll go from there. If you enjoyed today's video, guys, make sure you give it a like, share with your friends, subscribe to the channel for weekly running content, and as always, I'll see you in the next one. Until then.